Hello everyone, and welcome to today's edition of HoddyTalk. I first want to do a great shout out to all of our Howard Hanna, North Nagle, First Priority, and Realty USA agents and managers and staff and mortgage loan officers and the whole team there for kicking off their first ever in Western New York, their first ever Children's Hospital Free Care Fund drive. It was incredible on Sunday. I'm glad I attended it. It was a beautiful day in Buffalo, and we had the castle in Tonawanda, and as a great venue for what was one of the best events I've ever attended. In fact, we had more than 500 people. I want to say to the entire committee that many, probably hundreds of folks who worked in this, led by Charlene Zarate, just incredible effort. I couldn't think of a better way to spend a Sunday afternoon other than at open houses with our friends in Western New York, and want to thank everybody for all their efforts. We'll be announcing on March 24th at the awards event in Buffalo. We'll be announcing how much the group raised, but it was a fun-filled afternoon with every imaginable thing. We had cakes from designer cake makers and bakers. We gave away, sold 200 bottles of wine and a great cork idea. We had incredible live auctions. We had over 200 baskets for the raffles and things. So it was just a great afternoon, and we get a great cause for the Children's Hospital of Buffalo. So great effort. As we talked last in February, we talked about the importance of listings, how important exclusive listings are to the whole lifeblood of the real estate agent, to the lifeblood of the industry, to the lifeblood of the company, to the lifeblood of your individual office, to have active listings. That's the whole key to this business. And a lot has changed from when I first went into the business, but one thing has been consistent. You've got to control your own destiny with exclusive listings. Last month, we also talked about different ways, different programs to work on ongoing to how to build your listing base. I thought this afternoon I'd talk about my favorite way to build your listing base, and that is through the for sale by owner. It's a great country when people actually advertise for you to come to do business with them. And that's what I look at as a for sale by owner. They're advertising for you to come to them and list their house and then ultimately sell it for a great real estate commission and providing home ownership into that home. So what is the whole secret to for sale by owners? I think I hear a lot of times people don't like to go after for sale by owners because they're going to feel rejected. Or people say, I went after a couple for sale by owners last year and it didn't work, so I'm not going to do it again. I find the real reason why people are not successful in creating great new listings and sales from for sale by owners are twofold. One, we're fearful of being rejected. And two, and the most important thing is, we do not know how to go about a for sale by owner listing in the correct way. As I have traveled around all of our markets throughout the years, if I've traveled around new markets, I've traveled around existing realtors and things, I find a lot of people think the way you get into for sale by owners, you look in the newspaper or you look online. There's so many ways to find a for sale by owners. The old way was always the newspapers, but there are so many new ways online, so many for sale by owner sites to find new properties coming on the market daily. So they're afraid of rejection, or they do not have a system, a plan of how to attract and get that new listing and become a listing for you. I find a lot of people, they think going after for sale by owner is seeing it in the newspaper, seeing it online, and calling the people and saying, this is Joe Jones from Howard Hanna Real Estate. Will you list your house with me? And of course the answer is no, because that's not a plan. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a plan of how to attack those for sale by owners. In fact, I went online. I looked at the newspaper, the Sunday newspaper, when I got back from Buffalo on Monday. I looked at the Sunday Pittsburgh Press. It used to be called the Press years ago. It's called the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette now. And I saw a house in Lawrenceville for $210,000, a house in Mount Lebanon for $295,000, a house in Unity Township for $729,000, a house in Gibsonia for $294,000. Okay, that was just new listings that I saw this past Sunday. Then I asked Dennis Sestra in Virginia Beach to look up in the newspaper there, the pilot, to see what was in the paper new on Sunday. And he saw 2 listings, one on Bay Road in Virginia Beach for $699, and one on River Pearl Way in Chesapeake for $395. So I just mentioned 6 listings that are all available for one of us to pick up as an exclusive listing during the next few weeks. Now, as I mentioned, most people, they call the for sale by owner and they say, will you list with me? And of course the answer is no. But let's take this, and we're going to send this out in written form to everybody. Let's take this as a plan, okay? You look up the name, address, and phone number of the for sale by owner. You find out before you call them, you know the people's name, you know the address of the property, okay? And of course you got your phone number. Second thing is, you go out and you drive past that house. You actually drive past the house, drive around the neighborhood, get a sense of what the house is like before you make the call to them. Then you come back to the office and you look up the comparable sales. You review the comparable sales in that particular neighborhood in the last year or so, as well as looking up and checking and seeing what is for sale right now. And you have all that documents in front of you, okay? Then you make the phone call to the people. And you call them and you know their name and you say, Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan, Mr. Sullivan, I was calling because I heard through friends and clients that you might be thinking about selling in the near future. Not that you are selling, not that I want your listing right now, but you might be selling in the near future. And they say, well, we are actually. And I say, I think you're on Chesapeake Road and that really, really pretty, attractive colonial house, that white colonial house. And they'll say, wow, you know my house. Yes, I know your house. I know the real estate market. I know all the houses. And I've always admired your house, as well as many customers throughout the years have admired your house. So you get a conversation on a nice, positive way, okay? Rather than asking for something, you're giving them information and advice. And I'd like to maybe stop over and take a look at the house if it's convenient for you sometime, so I could show some of our clients. You know, we sold 30% of the houses in this community in the last year at Howard Hanna. You know that we've sold 3 or 4 houses really, really close to you, that the comparables you just looked up, and talk about those houses. Talk about success stories of you and the company in selling houses in that neighborhood on the phone. Once again, don't ask for the exclusive on the phone. I've never seen anybody sign an exclusive on the phone. You've got to see them. You've got to be in front of them. You've got to build your reputation with them. Now, if they say, no, I don't think right now, we're going to try to sell it ourselves, and we got to add in the newspaper, whatever they're doing. Immediately then, I send them a thank you note. Even after the conversation, I send them a nice thank you note, thanking for the conversation, talking about my strength and my background in the marketplace there, including a brochure, enclosing maybe some of the houses that have been sold recently. Give them a little background on yourself, but thank them, and put it in the mail. Okay, you probably don't have their email address yet, so you got to put it in the hard copy mail, which is also better. Okay, then you wait 5 or 6 days, and you call the people back, and you say, I just wanted to make sure you got the letter I sent last week, and just see if you thought any more about me coming over and taking a look at the house, so I can tell my prospective buyers, and let the 35 other agents in our office, or the 35 other agents in our office, and the 40 down the street in the company, know about your home a little bit better. So they may have some prospective buyers. And usually by that time, if you don't get the first time when you make the call, the second time in that type of call, you will get the appointment. You will get the appointment to come over, okay? Once again, we haven't talked about exclusively listing. We haven't talked about actively putting the house in the market with you, but you want to make an appointment to go visit them, okay? Then I do all my homework, all my preparation. I really know the market backwards and forwards. I remember the houses that were sold in the neighborhood. I know the houses that are for sale right now. I rehash myself on those things. So I know the market, I know the housing market very, very well. And I put all my listing materials together. I bring everything as if I'm going to make a full presentation to them, okay? I get to the house, and I do like, for sale by owners, it's nice to have either the manager with you or another team player so you can play up each other. 2 or sometimes better than 1 on appointments, especially competitive appointments. Now, when you come in to look at the house, when they say to me, you just want to look around, I see a lot of agents say, oh yeah, that'll be fine. No, I want them to show the house to me. I want the owner of the house, I want to have eye contact with the owner of the house to learn more about the house. As I'm going through the house, I'm taking my time, okay? I'm taking my time going through the house, asking good questions about the house, like how many square feet is the house? How many square feet? Who was the builder of the house? Was there an architect included? Ask a lot of questions that are piercing questions that they may or may not have the answers to. As well as I'm going through the house, hopefully we come in common denominator type things. I see that the person coached Little League soccer or Little League baseball, or they go to a certain church that I'm associated with, or they have some relationship that we can build upon. You just see that going through the house and just asking questions. So we create more of a personal relationship if possible. And I can find almost anything in common to talk about anything with, anybody with. So, you got to work that through a little bit. As we're going through the house, we're asking questions, and I'm excited about the house. I'm enthusiastic about the house. It's the largest single asset that those folks have. They want somebody who's going to be enthusiastic when it comes time to selling it and believes in the house. Then I try to end up towards the end of the tour somewhere in the kitchen area or dining room area, and I say, could I sit down with you and ask you a few questions I might have, okay? The first thing I ask is, and this is, I always get, no, we don't have that. Do you have a disclosure sheet? Have you prepared a disclosure package for the seller? Of course they haven't put that together yet. You sort of need that. Then I ask them, do they have a survey? Do they have a copy of a deed? All things that eventually they're going to need if they make a transaction or about to make a transaction with someone. So I ask them those questions and usually get no answers, and at best have either one of them start going up into their safety deposit box or upstairs to a bedroom drawer to find some of these things for you, because they're going to need these things eventually, but you're now telling them in a nice way they're going to need them, and you can bring more professional knowledge and experience to them. Then when they get all those things done and you ask questions like the room sizes, do you have a list of the room sizes? You'd be surprised how people have their houses for sale have none of these things put together yet, okay? Now, striking a bell to them, you as the professional, you are the most knowledgeable person, you have those questions already ahead of time. And you know what the answers are going to be. Then we start talking usually about price, And I said, what price were you thinking about? Have you formulated a price yet? And many times they'll say to you, yes. Many times they're going to say, no, we're thinking about a price. What do you think? That leaves you the opportunity to start talking about sales, to start talking about the other listings, to start talking about comparables that they've never seen. I can tell you, there might have been 3 sales within 5 blocks of them in the last year. I'll guarantee very few have seen any of those houses. Very few have seen any of those houses. And there'll be 3 or 4 sales in the same plan, and I'll guarantee most of those people have not seen those 3 or 4 houses. They're putting their house on the market cold with their ideas of what pricing is from 10 years ago from what they when they originally bought the house. They do not know the market together at all. Okay? And now as we're talking about those things about price always leads into, do you think you could sell this house? Why do you think you could sell this house? Okay? That will lead into that. When you spend an hour and a half with these folks and you're sitting down and you going over these things, or an hour, you will guarantee they'll start talking to you about what can you do to sell the house. That's why I tell you have to have all your materials ready to talk about the listing. You talk about price, and then it falls right into the listing. Now, you didn't go out there this morning and they didn't think you're coming over for a listing presentation, but now you're into a full-blown listing presentation showing them the strengths of what you can do above all others in the marketplace. Above all others in the marketplace, you can provide more tools, more opportunities, more buyers to them, more negotiating power than they can do themselves. So at that point in time, and I'm happy. If I'm around, I love to go on listing appointments. Now it's tough to get me everywhere, the way things are, but I love to go on listing appointments, especially when it's competitive for sale by owners, because you're not only competing against the rest of the market, you're competing with that seller for that listing. And I can show them, I give the opportunity, we will list the property, trust me, we will list the properties if you go on these for sale by owners and you use these techniques, these plans, this program, and be systematic about it. And you'll find a hot button when you're talking to the people going through the house, what their hot button is. There's a hot button relocation buyers. Is there hot button move-up buyers? Is there hot button financing? Customers are first-time buyers and need that financing boost. Okay? Are they hoping to sell to a doctor coming into town? And we've got a financing plan with 0 down payment for physicians. So know all the tools when you're in there, so you're able to come on strong and come and give them opportunities that they know they can't do themselves. but no other realtor can do in the marketplace if you get a chance to give those tools to the folks. I'm going to try to send this out in a written form to everybody. So in this plan, just to remind everybody, because I was in Buffalo this past week, as I mentioned. I was in Virginia a couple weeks ago, and they said, could you put more of these things in written form rather than just the HoddyTalk. HoddyTalk gets you thinking about it. So we're going to follow up today with more of a detailed plan for everybody to look at and follow through if you didn't take notes. So thank you all very, very much. We are into the almost the second. I guess we're in the second week of March, and the groundhog in Punxsutawney, in our office in Punxsutawney down the street, the groundhog came out February 2nd, said 6 more weeks of snow or 6 more weeks of winter. Well, we have not had 6 more weeks of winter. It's been a delightfully mild winter in from North Carolina to New York State to Michigan. It's been great weather, and it's been a great selling season so far in January, February, and the first part of March. So keep up the good work, and I thank you for everyone for all your great efforts and continuing the momentum in this great real estate market. Thank you all very, very much.